You aren't crazy. I need you to hear that right now before we go any further. You are not crazy, your memory is not failing you, and you are not too sensitive. If you've clicked on this video, chances are you are standing in the wreckage of a relationship that started like a fairy tale and ended like a psychological horror movie. You're exhausted, your brain feels like it's wrapped in fog. You find yourself obsessively rereading text messages, trying to figure out where it all went wrong, wondering how the person who once treated you like their soulmate is now staring at you with eyes full of contempt. You are trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. But what if I told you that the confusion you are feeling isn't a side effect of a failing relationship? What if the confusion was the goal? Welcome back to Shadow Psychology, the channel where we drag the darkest parts of human behavior into the light so you can finally heal. Today we are doing a massive, deep dive masterclass into the romantic life cycle of a toxic relationship. We are going to deconstruct the exact blueprint of narcissistic abuse. This isn't about throwing around buzzwords. We are going to break down the exact neurology, the psychological manipulation, and the calculated strategies used to dismantle your reality. We are expanding heavily on the concepts of love bombing and gaslighting, showing you exactly how these invisible weapons are used to trap you in a cycle of addiction and self-doubt. By the end of this video, you will have the vocabulary to name exactly what happened to you. And in naming it, you strip it of its power. Grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dismantle the illusion. Phase 1. Idealization, better known as love bombing. To understand why it is so incredibly difficult to leave a toxic relationship, you have to understand how it begins. A narcissist or highly manipulative person does not walk up to you and say, "Hi, I'm going to systematically destroy your self-esteem over the next 2 years." If they did, you'd run. Instead, they present you with a mirror. Love bombing is an intensive, overwhelming campaign of affection, attention, and flattery. It is designed to hijack your brain's reward center and create intense emotional dependence in a terrifyingly short amount of time. But how do you tell the difference between genuine, passionate, new love and love bombing? Genuine love takes time to build trust. It respects boundaries. It moves at a pace that allows both people to process the connection. Love bombing feels like a tsunami. Let's break down the 4 pillars of the love bomb. Pillar number 1. Intense pacing. Within days or weeks, they are using language that implies a lifetime commitment. "I've never felt this way before. You are my soulmate. Where have you been all my life?" They text you constantly. "Good morning, beautiful. Good night, my love," and 50 check-ins in between. You feel seen, you feel adored, but what is actually happening is a hostile takeover of your time and mental real estate. They are isolating you through sheer volume of attention. You are so busy responding to them that you don't have time to notice the red flags. Pillar number 2. Mirroring. Narcissists possess a predatory emotional intelligence. During the love bombing phase, they are essentially running a data-gathering operation on you. They study your likes, your dislikes, your childhood traumas, and your deepest desires. Then they morph into the exact shape of whatever you are missing. If you want a traveler, they suddenly love adventure. If you value deep intellectual conversations, they will mimic your depth amber. If you value depth, you aren't falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with a reflection of your own highest ideals. Pillar number 3. Future faking. This is where the psychological hook sets in deep. Future faking is when the toxic partner paints a vivid, detailed picture of a beautiful future together very early on. They talk about the house you'll buy, the names of your future children, the trips you'll take. Why do they do this? Because our brains release dopamine, the pleasure hormone, not just when we experience something good, but when we anticipate something good. By constantly talking about this perfect future, they keep you flooded with dopamine. They are wiring your brain to associate them with ultimate happiness. When the relationship later turns dark, you won't want to let go, because you'll believe you aren't just losing them, you are losing the beautiful future they promised you. Pillar number 4. Artificial vulnerability. They will often tell you a sob story early on. The crazy ex, the abusive childhood, the world that has always misunderstood them. They manufacture intimacy by sharing secrets with you, making you feel special, like you are the only one who truly understands them. This triggers your empathy and your desire to rescue them. During this phase, your brain chemistry is fundamentally altering. You are drowning in dopamine, oxytocin and serotonin. You are, from a neurobiological standpoint, becoming addicted. The toxic partner is cementing themselves as the sole source of your happiness. And once the addiction is established, the trap is set. Which brings us to phase 2. No one can wear a heavy mask forever. Eventually, the muscles in the narcissist's face begin to tire. The high they got from conquering you begins to fade. They know they have you on the hook, and suddenly everything changes. Welcome to phase 2, devaluation. This transition is rarely a slow fade. It often happens overnight, leaving you with emotional whiplash. The person who couldn't go an hour without texting you suddenly takes 8 hours to reply. The person who thought your quirks were adorable now finds them annoying. The pedestal they put you on, they are now using it to look down on you. The devaluation phase is marked by a sudden withdrawal of the drug, their affection. But they don't withdraw it completely. If they did, you would break the trauma bond and leave. Instead, they use a psychological principle developed by B.F. Skinner called intermittent reinforcement. Imagine a slot machine. If you pulled the lever and never ever won, you would stop playing. If you pulled the lever and won every single time, you'd get bored. But a slot machine pays out unpredictably. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win a little, and just when you're about to walk away, you hit a jackpot. This unpredictability creates the strongest, most obsessive behavioral loops known to psychology. In a toxic relationship, the narcissist becomes the slot machine. They are cruel to you for 3 days. They ignore your calls. They mock your insecurities. You cry, you beg, you finally decide you've had enough, and you pack your bags. And the very moment they sense they are losing control, ding ding ding. They hit you with the jackpot, a sudden burst of phase 1. Love bombing, apologies, tears, flowers, promises to change. Your brain, starved of dopamine and flooded with the stress hormone cortisol, drinks up this sudden affection like a person dying of thirst in a desert. The relief you feel binds you to them even tighter. You begin to chase the good times, believing that if you just love them harder, if you are just perfectly compliant, you can get the love bomber back. But the love bomber is a ghost. The monster is the reality. And to ensure you never realize this, they deploy their most devastating weapon. We need to talk about gaslighting. This term is thrown around casually on TikTok and Instagram to describe someone who lies or disagrees with you. But true psychological gaslighting is not a simple lie. It is a systematic, calculated campaign of psychological warfare designed to completely dismantle your grip on reality. The term comes from the 1938 play, and later the 1944 film Gaslight, where a husband manipulates the gas-powered lights in their home to flicker and dim. When his wife points it out, he repeatedly tells her she is imagining things, driving her to the brink of insanity so he can steal her inheritance. In psychology, gaslighting aims for what we call epistemic nullification. They want to destroy your ability to trust your own senses, your own memory, and your own judgment. If you cannot trust your own mind, you must rely entirely on their version of reality. How does it work in practice? Let's look at the 5 main techniques of gaslighting in romantic relationships. Number 1. The flat denial. You confront them about something they did. You literally have the text message on your phone. You say, "You said this." They look you dead in the eye and say, "I never said that. You're making things up." The denial is so absolute, so confident that your brain stutters. You think, no one could lie that confidently if it wasn't true. Maybe I am remembering it wrong. Number 2. Trivializing. When they hurt you and you express pain, they attack your reaction, not their action. Why are you so sensitive? You're making a big deal out of nothing. You can't take a joke. Notice what happens here. The argument is no longer about the cruel thing they did. The argument is now about your flawed emotional response. They have shifted the spotlight of guilt onto you. Number 3. The counterattack, also known as DARVO. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. You bring up a legitimate concern. "Hey, it hurt my feelings when you flirted with that person at the party." They respond, "I wasn't flirting. You are so insanely jealous and controlling. I can't even have a conversation without you interrogating me. My ex never treated me like this." Suddenly, you are apologizing to them for bringing up their bad behavior. Number 4. The smear campaign. They will subtly tell you that your friends and family don't actually care about you. Your sister is jealous of us. Your best friend doesn't understand you like I do. Simultaneously, they might tell their own friends, or even your friends, that you are acting unhinged. They lay the groundwork so that if you ever try to speak out, people will think you're the crazy one. Number 5. Reactive abuse. This is the darkest and most damaging part of the devaluation phase. A toxic partner will covertly poke, prod, insult, and manipulate you for hours, days, or weeks behind closed doors. They will remain calm, using a level voice while driving you into a state of absolute psychological distress. Eventually, your nervous system snaps. You break, you scream, you cry, you throw a plate, you call them a horrible name. And exactly at the moment you explode, they pull out their phone to record you. Or they calmly look at you and say, "Look at you. You are psychotic. You need help." They use your reaction to their abuse as proof that you are the abuser. And because you are a person with a conscience, you feel deep guilt for your outburst. You start to believe them. You think, maybe I am the toxic one. Living in this state of constant gaslighting causes literal brain damage. Over time, the chronic stress shrinks the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning, and enlarges the amygdala, the fear center. This is why victims of narcissistic abuse experience severe brain fog, memory loss, exhaustion, and chronic physical pain. Your body is living in a perpetual state of fight or flight, but you are trapped in a cage with the predator. You become a shell of the person you were in phase 1, and once you are entirely depleted, once you have no more narcissistic supply to give, we enter phase 3. Phase 3. The discard. If love bombing was a tsunami, the discard is a sudden, silent vacuum in space. There is a massive misconception that toxic relationships end with dramatic, tearful goodbyes. They don't. A narcissist does not break up with you, they abandon you. Often it happens with stunning cruelty. They might disappear overnight, block you on everything, or calmly pack their bags and look at you with dead, shark-like eyes as if you were nothing but a stranger. Why does it happen so suddenly? Because, to a narcissist, a partner is an appliance. Think about it. If your toaster stops making toast, you don't sit down and have an emotional conversation with the toaster. You throw it away and buy a new one. In the devaluation phase, they broke you. They drained your energy, your joy, and your self-esteem. You are no longer reflecting their perfection back to them. You are reflecting the damage they caused. You have become a broken appliance. They are bored, and they have likely already secured a new target, a new source of supply to start phase 1 with. The discard is agonizing. Because of the trauma bond, your brain goes into severe biochemical withdrawal. You are crying on the floor, questioning your entire existence, mourning a future that was never real. And just when you start to pick up the pieces, just when the fog starts to clear, the Hoover. Named after the vacuum cleaner, hoovering is the toxic partner's attempt to suck you back into the cycle. This happens weeks, months, or even years after the discard. Why do they hoover? It is rare because they realize your true value. It is usually because their new supply fell through, they are bored, or they simply want to check if they still own you. They want to see if they can still press a button and make you react. They will use every trick in the book. A random text claiming they saw something that reminded them of you. A manufactured crisis where they desperately need your help. Or a massive, tearful apology taking full accountability for everything, which, by the way, is just phase 1. Love bombing starting all over again. But the love bombing phase will be shorter, the devaluation will be more brutal, and the discard will be faster. The cycle spins tighter and tighter until there is nothing left of you. So, how do you get out? How do you survive the invisible trap? Step 1. Radical acceptance. You must accept that the person you fell in love with during the love bombing phase never existed. They were a mirage. You are mourning a ghost. It is agonizing, but it is the key to freedom. Stop waiting for the mask to slip back to the good person. The mask was the good person. The monster is the reality. Step 2. Absolute no contact. You cannot heal in the environment that made you sick. You cannot be friends with a narcissist. You cannot have closure conversations. They will use your desire for closure as a weapon to gaslight you one last time. Block their number. Block their social media. Block their friends. If you share children or must communicate for legal reasons, you use the grey rock method. You become as uninteresting and unresponsive as a grey rock. Short answers: yes, no, okay, no emotion, no explanations. You starve them of the dramatic reactions they feed on. Step 3. Reprogramming your nervous system. Your brain is addicted to chaos. Peace will feel boring at first. You will crave the high of the toxic cycle. This is normal. Seek out somatic therapy, EMDR, or a trauma-informed therapist. Reconnect with the friends you were isolated from. Tell your story. The moment you speak the truth of what happened to you, the gaslighting loses its grip. You survived. The fact that you have the capacity for deep empathy, for deep love, and for forgiveness is a beautiful thing. The toxic partner targeted you because of those beautiful traits, not because you were weak. They wanted to steal your light because they have none of their own. Now, it is time to take your light back. If this video helped you connect the dots, hit the like button so the algorithm pushes it to someone else who might be sitting in the dark right now, wondering if they are crazy. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Shadow Psychology for more deep dives into the mechanics of human behavior. Remember, your reality belongs to you. Guard it fiercely. I'll see you in the next one.